It's day 3 of the nurses' strike here at Meriter Hospital. I'm Ellie LaLiberte with what patients inside the hospital have to say about their care.
We have thunderstorms in the forecast, and we have wildfire smoke from Canada in the forecast. Together, we'll use FutureTrek to show you when it arrives and when it ends.
And later, after weeks of stalled negotiations, the state legislature's powerful budget writing committee meets to start approving parts of the state budget. We welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. And good evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. We begin tonight with Meriter nurses in the hospital back at the negotiating table today.
Hundreds of nurses are striking to get a contract that addresses safety concerns and provides better staffing standards. But as our Ellie LaLiberte shows us, the impact of the strike has gone past the picket line.
The strike started on Tuesday morning, and ever since then, it seems like the care has really gone downhill.
Sophie, who asked to stay anonymous and change her name for this story, has been in Meriter Hospital for nearly a week.
I arrived here to the ER on Friday with pancreatic issues.
She's been going to Meriter for care her whole life. But this visit, she says there's been issues.
I have been consistently late for my medications. IVs are not getting flushed in appropriate amounts of time. Mistakes have been made when it comes to administering certain medications.
Meriter contracted hundreds of travel nurses in preparation for the strike. But Sophie says she and other patients feel like the hospital wasn't prepared.
I have constantly had to advocate for my care, and luckily I know my chart very well, so I'm able to do that. But for some patients, that might not be the case.
No, it's management's job to provide staffing, and it is our job to provide the care.
Pat Reyes is a Meriter nurse of 35 years and the president of SEIU Wisconsin, the union that represents the nurses. She says she's sad to hear stories like Sophie's.
It is concerning.
But after 23 rounds of negotiating, the nurses felt they had no choice.
We are fighting for the future, and unfortunately, the basics are the basics.
The hospital, however, says it's not aware of any specific patient complaints at this time and denied claims that operations aren't running smoothly, saying, quote, "We are consistently hearing feedback from patients, family members, and our providers that these travel nurses are providing incredible care, and we are so grateful to them for showing up and giving our patients their all." But patients like Sophie want the nurses who they know and trust.
We want our nurses back, like point blank period. They are what keeps Meriter running.
Shut it down! Reporting in Madison, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
Ellie, thank you. The hospital declined to say exactly how many travel nurses were brought in, but says they have received thorough training and preparation for the strike.
A pedestrian struck by a vehicle in Madison earlier this week has now died. According to police, the crash happened Monday near the area of Kennedy Road and Northport Drive at about 5:30 p.m. A 48-year-old man was taken to the hospital in critical condition, where he later died. The driver remained at the scene and did cooperate with police. No names in the crash have been released.
Well, the trial of the man charged with killing 19-year-old Sade Robinson entered its third day today. Maxwell Anderson accused of killing Robinson after their first date back in April of 2024 and then scattering her remains around Milwaukee County. Anderson is charged with homicide, mutilating, and hiding a corpse. He's also charged with arson for allegedly burning Robinson's car. Today, jurors heard from several witnesses, including some of Robinson's friends.
Probably just the strongest, kindest, most charismatic person I've ever met.
Is this hard for you today?
Yes.
Well, the trial is expected to last 2 weeks, and the jurors are not being sequestered.
Well, turning to the weather now, a beautiful one out there, but we have some rain chances sticking around. We have Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington out there on the weather patio. Gorgeous out there.
It is gorgeous out here if you can dodge between the showers, and many areas are dodging between the showers because they're few and far between. They're the pop-up variety, which we could see on Radar 3000. Very few and far between. Maybe a shower up by the Dells, a shower over towards Lone Rock, but that's about it. But that's going to change over the course of the next 24 hours, although FutureTrek showing, again, the dwindling of any remaining showers this evening, some patchy fog. But then things are going to make a change as we go into Friday. thunderstorm chances are increasing. Started talking about this the past couple days. A backdoor cold front is going to move in, and that's going to bring thunderstorm chances mainly east of Madison. And then new to the forecast, a plume of wildfire smoke from Canada looks like it's going to make its way into much of Wisconsin as early as Friday, possibly lasting into Saturday. And what this means is for those folks that are susceptible, some folks, you may want to limit your outdoor activities on Friday going into Saturday. And you'll know because the sky will have a milky white color and you'll be able to smell that smoke as we go on into Friday going on into Saturday. Coming up in Maine weather, we'll use Future Track to show you with those scattered thunderstorms who will receive them, and we'll also track that plume of smoke together in a bit.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. Next week, the Senate will look at President Trump's spending bill called the, quote, Big Beautiful Bill Act. It comes after the House narrowly passed the Big Beautiful Bill Act with all Democrats in opposition. The bill would extend the president's 2017 tax breaks but bring major cuts to Medicaid. And today we spoke with Congressman Mark Pocan of Madison about his thoughts on the legislation.
Yeah, this is without question the worst bill I've ever seen in 30 years of being in government.
Well, the Wisconsin Department of Health Services says thousands of Wisconsinites would lose their Medicaid eligibility if the president ends up signing the bill into law.
And it's not just Democrats who are unhappy with the president's plan. Some Republican senators are hesitant because of the massive increase to U.S. debt, and they're looking to change that before both chambers send the bill to the president's desks. Wisconsin's own Senator Ron Johnson is leading that charge.
But you can focus on spending. That's the more controllable figure. That's what you have to focus on. And right now, I'm sorry to report the House, the president, they're not focusing on spending.
Republicans want to get the legislation to the president by July 4th. After weeks of stalled negotiations, the state legislature's powerful budget writing committee met today to start approving parts of the state budget.
Our political reporter Will Keneally reports from the Capitol with the very latest.
That Joint Finance Committee made quick work today to approve the budget for the state agency that handles professional licenses in Wisconsin. Now, this is as we are awaiting details of the tax cut currently being negotiated behind closed doors between the state's Democratic governor and Republicans who control the state legislature.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to talk about the conversations with the governor, so we're pleased that he's meeting with us and our conversations are ongoing, and that's about it.
That's all Republican lawmakers would give us today when reporters pressed them for an update on what kind of tax cut Wisconsinites could see in the next state budget.
We were in conversations, and I'm not privy to, to talk about any of that kind of stuff. So,
well, Republicans are still keeping the people of Wisconsin in the dark about their plans, and I think it's because they know that what they're pushing for is deeply unpopular.
That back and forth on the tax cut is largely what's holding up the state budget process. But lawmakers approved a few state agencies anyway today, including the Department of Safety and Professional Services. That agency's budget was approved along party lines, with Democrats pushing for more staff to answer agency phone lines.
Effectively forcing us to lose staff that we have that are there to help licensees get their licenses faster and then help all of us be able.
I think budgets are always about analyzing the data that's given to us and making decisions, and so that's exactly what we do with this agency and every other agency.
Now we're hearing here in the state capitol that committee could return next week to continue their work on the state budget. Reporting in the state capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Will. And now other local news. Music Mondays are returning to Madison's Meadowood neighborhood this summer. Good Shepherd Lutheran Church on Raymond Road will host Music Monday every week starting June 2nd. The event is free with a pay-what-you-can food cart. Concerts run from 5 to 7 in the evening on Good Shepherd's front lawn. And this year's lineup includes the UW Marching Band, the All That Jazz Big Band, and the acoustic group Sundance. Well, coming up next, Dane County prepares to roll out a new way to cut down on food waste.
Also, what a new study is saying about those cereals that your kids love to eat for breakfast. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6. Moving forward.
A new initiative in Dane County is working to help the environment. The county's Food Scrap Stop program launches June 1st. It will have a 24/7 kiosk for people to drop off their food scraps to compost for free. There will be 4 drop-off locations open on the 1st, including kiosks at Warner Park, Henry Vilas Zoo, Quarry Skate Park in Middleton and the Public Works Building in the village of McFarland. So to receive access to all the sites, you can use the city's online registration form, and you can find the link to that on this story on channel3000.com. It turns out breakfast cereal marketed to children is getting unhealthier. Researchers with JAMA Network Open looked at 1,200 cereal products that debuted in the U.S. between 2010 and 2023. The cereals were explicitly marketed to kids 12 and under. And compared to 2010, the study found protein and dietary fiber contents in those cereals decreased, and total fat per serving, sodium content, and sugar all increased. The study authors say that parents should consider other breakfast options for their growing kids.
Well, the Department of Health and Human Services has now canceled a contract with Moderna for the development of a bird flu vaccine. The $590 million contract was announced just days before President Trump was sworn in for a second term. The department says the project does not meet scientific or safety expectations for continued investment. Meanwhile, Moderna's CEO says the company will, quote, explore alternative paths forward for the program. A deer at the Rock County Deer Farm has tested positive for chronic wasting disease. It's according to the Wisconsin Department of Ag Trade and Consumer Protection, or DATCAP. The farm will be quarantined until DATCAP and the U.S. Department of Agriculture conducts an investigation. CWD is always fatal for deer. It's transmitted through animal-to-animal contact or by contact with the saliva, urine, feces, blood, or carcass of an infected animal or infected soil. Still ahead, a warning for those using buy now, pay later loans.
Plus, criminals are using AI chatbots to make scam emails harder to spot. What people should look out for to help distinguish between reality and deception.
And could we see any more storms this week? Alex returns to the answer in his complete forecast.
Watching News 3 Now at 6. Moving forward.
The FBI says scammers are making more money than ever before thanks to artificial intelligence. Criminals are now using chatbots to help them write messages that are not only free of typos, but also closely resemble those of trusted senders. For example, a scammer might send what looks like a Zoom update email or an email impersonating your work's IT department, knowing there's a high likelihood that people may just open that link.
Time is your friend. Attackers and criminals are always working off a sense of urgency. And so if I get an email and it's my CEO and my CEO is asking for urgent help on getting gift cards, the more I step away and let my brain re-engage and kind of let the amygdala hijack kind of wear off, then I'm much more likely to use my training and what I know is the right things to do and not reply.
Now, according to Bureau statistics, just last year alone, scammers made off with more than $16 billion.
Well, you've probably heard about those buy now, pay later loans. Well, it turns out a bunch of consumers are missing the pay later part. Popular digital finance platform Klarna reported an increase in customers who are behind on their short-term payments. Users who fail to pony up are subject to late fees and interest charges, and it could impact their credit scores.
I think that a lot of people like the idea of buy now, pay later, but essentially it is the same trap we often can get into with credit cards. We can spend more than we intend to, and we can actually see fees if we're not paying these off on time.
According to Bankrate, almost half of credit card holders carry debt from month to month, and rates and balances remain near record highs. Well, temperatures are warming up ahead of the weekend, so these viewers want to know.
Hey there, Bonneville Elementary. How's the weather? Well, this evening, temperatures will be in the 60s. You're going to have a chance of a shower. That's why we have the blue glasses on for this evening. And then we're going to be tracking some thunderstorms and some wildfire smoke chances. A little bit more from Bonneville Elementary in just a couple moments. Tonight, a little patchy fog. The best chance of thunderstorms will be east of Madison on Friday. And then new here entering the forecast, wildfire smoke that we need to track and also talk about its impacts to air quality. Right now, radar 3000, just a drop or two across southern Wisconsin. No real concentrated, focused area of showers or thunderstorms. Few and far between. That's that pop-up variety. And as I step behind here, it's all gone by the time we get into the middle of the evening as we lose the heat of day. But with the heat of the day and a backdoor cold front, that's a cold front that comes in from the north and from the east. Friday afternoon, things are going to light up to the north and east of Madison, getting down to the Madison area between 4, 5, and 6 o'clock, and then to the south south down towards the Wisconsin-Illinois border very quickly, 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So it's a narrow window of, let's say, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. tomorrow for that chance of a couple of thunderstorms, mainly along I-39 and off to the east. Can't rule out an isolated strong storm, but widespread severe weather at this point in time is not expected. Gusty winds and hail, any of those storms that can really rev up at all on Friday would be the main threats. And then the rainfall amounts, very sparse again, because this is a quick moving line of a few showers and a couple of thunderstorms Friday afternoon. So the bottom line, it's late afternoon, early evening, mainly Madison and areas to the east, and widespread severe weather is not expected at this time. We'll have another fresh look at this tonight at 10, and Savannah will have an update tomorrow morning, and I will update you at noon tomorrow if any of the placement or timing is going to change with that backdoor cold front. Low to mid 50s for those tonight, just that isolated chance of that shower this evening. High temperatures all the way up to 80 degrees, strong gusty west, northwest winds, and that chance of thunderstorms, Madison, Dells, Baraboo, and areas to the east over towards Janesville, Watertown, Beaver Dam, and over towards Elkhorn. And all this orange you see behind me, that's the wildfire smoke coming in from the north and from the west, from Canada, all orange across southern Wisconsin, even dark oranges. So if you're an individual in these past couple of years where we've had these bouts of smoke plumes moving into the area, and you'll know it, it'll be a milky white sky and you'll be able to smell that. If that makes you susceptible, you may want to limit your outdoor activities as we go Friday into Saturday while this smoke plume moves through the state of Wisconsin. We'll keep a close eye on its placement, and hopefully it's out of here. And it's because of that reason that we have air quality alerts and air quality warnings, at least extending all the way into Friday and possibly lasting into Saturday as well. Following that, getting really warm. Look at that. Temperatures up near 90 by the time we get to Monday. 80s Tuesday, and a cold front coming through Tuesday night, and Wednesday brings us a chance of some showers and some thunderstorms. We'll keep an eye on that for the possibility of a strong storm or two. But back to Barneville we go. Had a nice time. Thank you for having me out. The Barneville kiddos in the kindergarten class got to learn about what a TV meteorologist does, that my frames match the forecast, like the important alert day glasses. And there we go, the famous pepper tornado experiment. That's always a hit when we get that pepper to spin up into a tornado. There you go, there's a little tiny vortex right there. And the timing can't be better for a visit in Barneville, because the infamous 1984 F5 Barneville tornado, the 41st anniversary, is just a week out from now. So this is a timely time to get out to Barneville to remind Barneville that it has a history of big tornadoes in Wisconsin.
Wow, that is a big one. Thank you, Alex.
We all remember that day well,
yes.
Those of us in southern Wisconsin. Alex, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's go to Zach and remembering some of Wisconsin's heroes today.
Yeah, the cool part about today is, like, you get to go back and think about, like, oh, he did that, they won this. That's cool. Coming up in sports, headed to the Hall, who are in this year's UW Athletic Hall of Fame class, and what does it mean to those Badger legends to get that call? That's next on News 3 Now. As a Badger, it's hard to top being enshrined in the UW Athletics Hall of Fame. Today, the 2025 class was announced, and the list of accomplishments, accolades, and resumes these 12 have are one of one. Headlined by Frank Kaminsky, Joe Pavelski, James White, and Travis Frederick, this group had a lot of success in Madison, and getting the call that they were heading to the Hall is one these Badgers will never forget.
It was special. Kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and when you first hear the words, you don't fully know what it means, and and the experience that you've had throughout your time at the UW is you kind of go back to thinking of all that.
I mean, it's just like you get overcome with this like emotion that you can't really describe. You start like thinking backwards, and it puts you in a place like where you love. Like, I love here, I love Wisconsin, I love this school, I love being back on campus.
The redemption tour for Whitewater baseball has reached the place where they finished one win shy of winning their first national championship since 2014, the College World Series. And they made their journey back look easy. But while they were racking up another 40-plus win season, a WIAC regular season and tournament title, and winning regionals, their mind was only focused on one thing.
The minute we finished our season last year, I knew that was the main driving force for next year. If we lose last week, this season might as well just be 0-40. Okay, so absolutely from the day we finished last year to now, that has been the driving force for these young men.
Wisconsin football announced their kickoff times for their 3 non-conference games. We knew they'll be opening under the lights at 8 o'clock against Miami of Ohio on Thursday, August 28th. Well, week 2 against Middle Tennessee, it's a 3 o'clock kick, and then the Badgers' first trip to Tuscaloosa to take on the Tide will start at 11 a.m. And speaking of schedules, the Wisconsin men's basketball team will be heading to Pfizer Forum to take on Oklahoma in an exhibition game on October 24th for a nice little tune-up before they begin the non-conference part of their slate. The last time these two met, the Badgers beat the Sooners by 20 in the Bahamas back in 2018.
All right, Zach, thank you. Final check with Alex.
Thunderstorms tomorrow, wildfire smoke tomorrow. That's what we're tracking right now. But first, the thunderstorm chance mainly east of Madison. Widespread severe weather is not expected, but 1 or 2 severe storms we can't rule out with gusty winds and hail. And then don't forget tomorrow with that wildfire smoke, that just take it easy if you're sensitive to that smoke tomorrow.
All right, and thanks for joining us. Entertainment Tonight is next.
Our next newscast is at 10, and you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.